Hello everyone, brothers. A new part of the recap, thanks for the huge support, I love everyone. We continue in the same spirit. Enjoy your viewing. I continued to stand on the tree while the fishmen were already surrounded by birds, who apparently wanted to eat fresh flesh. They even had a certain hierarchy, because among them there was a bird that sat on the head of a fishman and was clearly tweeting something to its comrades. She looked really stupid, because what she was tweeting to the others was that she was the one who defeated all these monsters. I suddenly landed on the ground, right next to these birds. "Get out of here," I said and kicked the most brazen of them. The birds immediately panicked and began to flee the scene of the crime. Even birds demonstrate their superiority. It's safe here for now, I was thinking, trying to assess the situation. The next moment, I turned my attention to the nearest corpse, on the back of which there were 3 huge claw marks. The bodies are still warm and don't stink. It looks like the battle ended not so long ago. Just like Sherlock Holmes, I began to reason. The shape of the wound is very similar to the scratches from their claws. The claws on the fingers are very sharp, you need to be careful. These are crazy. Was it really a feud? Suddenly I came to this conclusion. It would be nice if I could find survivors to pick them up. I was hoping for this while walking along the beach and looking at all the bodies of monsters, waiting to see a body that breathes. Suddenly my attention was caught by a body that was half lying in the water. This corpse. Is he hurt? I asked myself and came closer to examine the monster. The face is distorted, the death was very painful. The limbs are all covered in mud. It was a drowning. The water people. Can I drown in the sea? I was really surprised at this conclusion and even sweated a little. After that, I sat down next to the corpse and again asked myself a question that no one could answer me. And yet, what happened here? Suddenly I heard a voice. King. Trouble. Then I turned around and saw my ally. Xiong, what happened? I immediately asked, while the boy was running towards me in a panic. We were attacked by a bunch of crazy people from the tribe of the Gulf of the Sea. He shouted, continuing to run towards me, and I was really surprised by this, after which he said, "We're going back." Immediately. And literally the next moment I disappeared from my seat. There were cracks in the ground in the places I stepped on, so fast I ran, trying to urge Xiong on. At this time, my subordinates were standing near their houses, waiting for the monsters to attack. Carefully. Stick together. The leader I left behind was speaking. Conserve energy. Get ready for battle. He continued, and the rest of the fighters started throwing spears before the fishmen got closer. These are crazy. Ignore the spears. The leader was surprised to see how one of the spears hit the shoulder of the monster, and he did not even waver. What happened to them? They don't seem to feel pain. Our scout spoke while standing on a tree. The fishmen, on the other hand, kept coming closer and closer. The danger to my village was growing. Don't panic, don't let them drag you into the sea, only death awaits us in the water. The temporary leader of the camp warned, holding an axe in his right hand and standing in a stance. The next moment, the fishman got down on all fours and with red eyes rushed at full speed towards my allies, which put everyone into a stupor. With each passing second, the tension increased and the distance between monsters and people decreased. A good chance. Their formation is destroyed. Fight them off. The leader shouted, hitting one of the monsters on the head with an axe. It was obvious that the fishmen attacked without tactics at all, as if they were ordinary animals that could not think. Suddenly the leader turned his head and saw the girl. The queen came to the rescue. Then she said, "What's happening? Is this the Bay tribe?" Surprised, she asked, watching as the monsters continued to run at them, continuing. "Don't they live on the south shore? Why are you here? Besides, their condition is very strange." She noticed and the leader took the floor. "I don't know, it looks like these people went crazy, came from the shore and attacked us. Perhaps the word monster suits them. Already the whole army of my village came to the defense, and everything was already going to outright slaughter. You can even say that a war is about to begin." And that's the moment, literally in 1 second it all started, we rushed at each other. A bloody battle began. The queen, wrapping a vine around the throat of one of the monsters, stood on his back and asked, "Hey, can you talk?" She wanted to find out what was going on here. Something's wrong. They can't communicate. When she came to this conclusion, she howled. "Psychos. What are you doing?" Then, without even noticing, a monster jumped out from behind her, ready to kill the queen. The huge claws were literally a few centimeters away from the wonderful woman, but the murder was not destined to happen. The next moment I appeared, just like a hero, protecting the queen with my axe at the very last moment. From our collision, a huge number of explosive waves appeared around. "How dare you attack my woman?" I declared, exuding pathos. The queen was incredibly happy to see me, but the next time I shouted at the top of my voice. "Xiao Wang. Go away." And how good it is that I have an understanding woman who immediately listened to my order. I swung the axe again, beating off the fishman's hand and sighed with relief that I had made it in time. The monster continued to stand on its feet as if nothing had happened. Was he able to withstand my blow? I was surprised and continued. "But how? I have 3 points of strength." While I was wondering what was happening, 2 more monsters jumped out at me from behind, which my woman warned me about. I didn't even need to pay attention to them because the next moment, 2 of my allies took them out of action. "Fight with us," declared the first. "Don't even think about hurting our king," said the second. "As expected from you, a great job." I praised them with a satisfied smile, continuing to stand still. "I'll leave it to you to deal with these violent fish," I said, looking at how my allies are already dominating the monsters. After that, I turned towards my woman and continued. "They need your help, I'll figure it out myself. I have to focus on this uncooperative guy," I said, looking at the fishman, from whom I covered my woman. "I don't want anyone to bother me until the winner is determined." "Start," I said, standing up. This monster surpassed me in size and was clearly one of the strongest among all. We continued to stand opposite each other while the carnage took place around us. "I'm sorry about what happened to your tribe, but it has nothing to do with us." "So you found the wrong revenge target?" I spoke and was interested, pointing my axe forward, but these monsters were clearly not in their minds. They have lost the ability to communicate. I came to this conclusion and our battle with the bully began. Naturally, in tactical terms, I was superior to the monster, so I decided not to kill him, and dodging a lunge, I tried to knock him out. But no matter how I dodged, the fishman also did not lag behind. Excellent muscle strength and reaction. I admired the monster's skills, trying to dodge and attack. Plus sharp claws and teeth. Although I am several times stronger than ordinary people, but in the face of such a monster, I lose. There are my subordinates in the area, I can't use the destructive power of the Pangu axe. And this power cannot be used whenever it pleases, unless it is absolutely necessary. It's a bad thing. You can't get distracted. I talked too much in my head, and the monster took advantage of it, increasing the pace of our fight. Thanks to this, the fishman was able to grab my hand with his teeth and blood splattered. It was very painful and I couldn't suppress my groan. "Damn. Let go." I howled with all my might and tried to chop off his head with an axe, but even at such a moment the monster was able to dodge. I quickly broke the distance, realizing that I needed to make a plan. The madman. It's good that there is protection in the form of a cape from the Bull King. Otherwise, his fangs would have torn off my arm. I looked at the wound, from where the blood was no longer flowing, but the teeth marks were clearly visible. The next moment, the monster screamed and inexplicable things began to happen. His eyes began to fill with blackness. The claws got bigger. And the next moment, a purple aura appeared around him, and he roared with all his might. Then he jumped towards me, but with a speed that increased several times that I didn't even have time to really react. Literally on instinct, I sat down, but since it happened at the last moment, the monster was able to rip off my cloak. Then he squatted down and began to devour him, in the truest sense of the word. Why did this guy's speed and strength suddenly increase? If I hadn't taken off my raincoat, I would have been torn apart. I spoke, watching the fishman finish my cloak without moving anymore. Why doesn't it attack anymore? I wondered and continued. What is he doing? I asked myself and saw how he and the rest of the monsters turned towards the water and began to leave. Leaving? So why else did he take part of the bloody cloak? The next moment I turned my attention to my allies. One of them was very wounded. Why was he surrounded by so many monsters? I asked myself a question and began to come to a conclusion. Maybe. I understood. It's because of the blood. They use the smell of blood to capture the target, besides, this smell makes them become even more violent. Especially in this strange state. They're just following an animal instinct. Just like scary sharks. But I sat down, trying to come to a final conclusion in my head and bandaging my wound. If you use this feature. I tried to think, but I was distracted. King, I'm back. Is there anything I can do to help? My subordinate asked and I turned in his direction. Putting my hand on his shoulder, I said. You're just in time. Take 2 people, bring 3 piglets. The boy was surprised at my request. Piglets? Didn't we leave them to eat? He asked, but I already turned around and started to leave, throwing one last. Do as I say. Then he continued to reason. They forced me to sacrifice 3 piglets. You'll pay for it, you lunatics. I decided and told my woman. The wounded should leave as soon as possible. She unconditionally listened to my order and went to carry it out. Good. The pigs are here. The boy shouted, approaching me, along with 2 other people. Let them run to the river. I pointed to the monsters in the water. After that, the subordinates released the pigs and the troika rushed forward, being in great fright. Then I turned my attention to the tree and shouted. A gun. But he didn't let me finish answering. Understood. Look at me. After that, he launched 3 spears towards the pigs, which clearly hit the target, nailing them to the ground. The fishermen immediately stopped, as if time had stopped. At the same time, even those who had already gone into the water stopped, after which they immediately turned their heads back. In the next moment, the monsters, the whole crowd, growled and rushed in one direction at a tremendous speed. A huge number of fishmen's teeth hung over the 3, already dead, pigs. Then I decided to bring my subordinates to their senses. Don't stand there. I shouted and continued. Rather, smear the tips with anesthetic. Shoot at vital points. Everyone, having listened to my order, immediately began to act. King, look, something seems to be wrong. The boy in the tree shouted and I asked what had happened, paying attention to the fishermen. The monsters at that moment held onto their throats and bellies, growling violently, and the next moment, they began to fall to the ground. Did you poison 3 piglets? I decided to ask my subordinate, to which I received a negative answer. Literally in 1 second, all the monsters were already lying on the ground, with foam in their mouths. Don't come any closer. Beware of deception. I tried to warn my people. Damn. What is going on in the end? I asked myself, looking at the huge pile of bodies that were lying unconscious. Agricultural area. Next to our houses there were cages with the same monsters that we defeated with the help of 3 pigs. They were guarded by girls armed with spears. Suddenly, one of them started talking while looking at the cages. Be vigilant. If they do something, punish them. A herd of freaks. She finished, looking at the sleeping monsters. Suddenly, one of the fishermen started coughing, which made people wary. What? Woke up. The same girl exclaimed and the next moment the monster pulled his hand towards her, saying. Help. Help me. His appearance was, to put it mildly, not very good. Just like after a binge. The girl turned to her partner and said. Tell the king they're awake. While the weather was sunny outside and hot enough to swim in the sea, I walked in the direction of the cages. Literally the next moment, my voice began to recognize the situation from the girl who was the head of this duty. Are they awake? What is the situation? That was my question. Literally the next moment, all the fishermen woke up and began to pray. Water. Give me some water. It was obvious that they were suffocating because as I said, it was really sunny weather and the sun was very hot and the monsters that live in the water are not used to this. Looking at all this, I was interested in another question. What's with that fat guy? The one I fought. I asked the girl from the patrol. He also woke up, he was closed separately from everyone. She answered and led me in his direction. The big guy, like his comrades, also asked for water, and I expected it, so I immediately took a container of water with me. Uncorking the bottle, I turned it over, and the water immediately poured on the monster's head. The fishman did not think long and raised his head to the sky, so that water began to fall into his mouth. A little bit of good, I thought, and stopped pouring water on him, which made the monster surprised and upset. Do you understand me? I asked him. Yes. Was his answer, looking at me with hope that I would continue to pour water on him. After it, I immediately said to the girl who was standing next to me. Keep an eye on him. And he gave her a horn with water so that she would give the big man a drink if necessary. As soon as the horn was handed over and I continued to watch what was happening, the girl immediately started pouring water into the monster's mouth, saying, Take your time, it's all for you. If there's not enough, I'll bring more. She was really kind, because after everything these monsters did, not everyone would do that. Then she smiled sweetly, continuing. But the river is far from here, so we'll have to wait. The monster made an innocent face and calmly started talking. My people also need water, please give them some. The girl, hearing his words, said. Of course, this is the least I can do. It would be very nice if you could help us by answering a few questions. Suddenly, the monster got angry, which surprised me by asking. What? You gathered an army and attacked us, and now you want to ask a few questions? The girl was in some confusion from what she heard and turned to me, hoping for help in solving this issue, but I just stood in silence while the monster continued. Although I've heard before that you mountain tribe are still weirdos, but I didn't expect that so much. The girl plucked up the courage and asked. You say you were attacked by a mountain tribe? The monster did not expect such a turn, exclaiming. Aren't you a mountain people? He asked, looking at the three people standing in front of his cage. You made a mistake, we are a tribe of newcomers, and behind us is our king. The sweet girl answered confidently. It was difficult for the monster to understand what was going on, but he didn't hesitate to ask. A tribe of newcomers? I've never heard of such a thing. Surely it was the mountain people who sold us as far as possible. It was evident from the speaker's face that he did not understand the situation at all and was building theories judging by what he remembered. The girl sighed heavily and tried to explain everything that had happened recently. And again, you were wrong. You have attacked our territories. We have no relationship with the mountain tribe. But then you lost the ability to communicate like wild animals, so we had to lock you up here temporarily. The fishman suddenly interrupted her and exclaimed. No, that's not possible. Are you saying I've completely lost my memory? The girl answered the question with a question. Then can you tell me what happened? And that was the right question. I was interested to know the answer to that. My name is Haihu, I am the leader of the sea tribe. We lived near the shore. The monster started talking and it was as if we were transported into his memories. One of the fishermen said. Boss, Chen Li and Huabei are fighting again. Let them fight. The big guy replied, pointing his finger up. Fights between young people strengthen relationships. He spoke while his subordinates were fighting not in a friendly way, but to the death. Suddenly the fisherman's child screamed. Aya! They stole my bird. And the next second, the boss grabbed the kid by the head and said with a smile. Is it Lin and the others again? Don't cry, you have to learn how to fight. Only if you make others afraid of you, no one will dare to steal your things. When suddenly the kid pointed his fingers at the forest and calmly said. But it's not Lin, it's those weirdos. The boss immediately became serious. What? Are these people from the mountain tribe? He asked a rhetorical question, remembering a tribe that he had already met before and who came out of the forest at the same second. Why did you come here? The big man declared, looking at the leader of the human tribe, who raised his hand, stopping his people. And the next second he lowered his hand and loudly declared. Kill them. After that, the entire crowd of people who stood behind the leader of the mountain tribe rushed at the monsters. The boss of the fishermen was immediately electrocuted. Mountain tribe. Attacked? He asked himself, trying to decide what to do. Then I was stunned, and in the end I was captured by you. And I don't know what's wrong with the rest of the people from the tribe. I don't remember how it happened. The fishman finished his story, and I was thinking, trying to find answers in the story. Then I calmly exhaled before starting to speak. Recently I was on your territory, and there was not a single living creature there. If I hadn't left you alive, the sea tribe would have disappeared from the face of the earth. My words shocked the boss of the fishman tribe. He opened his mouth with shock and disbelief, and the next moment he shouted furiously. No. Damn. I couldn't protect them. Because of his strong cry, the cage staggered and an unknown thing fell out from somewhere. The girl immediately noticed and asked. What's it? Then she picked up an incomprehensible thing and showed it to me. King, look, I haven't seen this plant before. I grabbed an unknown leaf and immediately said in my head. System. While the identification was going on, I was looking at the leaf, trying to figure out for myself what it is. Suddenly, an inscription from the system appeared above the leaf. Cannabis. Herbaceous plant, bitter in taste, has an analgesic effect, its smoke causes hallucinations. My eyes opened wide and I exclaimed in my head. Is this really it? My subordinates started carrying water to the entire tribe of fishermen, and so they were all happy, saying. Hooray! Water. It's water. Give me. Take your time, that's enough for everyone. Pass each other a drink. The girl who was watching everyone was talking while I was standing and thinking, looking at cannabis. Indeed, I said. These leaves were collected from their bodies, this is cannabis. I already had more than one cannabis leaf in my hand, as people gathered it from other monster bodies as well. Xiang said that the leader of the mountain people has divine power. It looks like this revered god is actually a demon. Force the sea people to mercilessly kill each other and cause them to hallucinate. Some guessed that hiding in the water, you can avoid inhaling poisonous fumes, but eventually died of exhaustion. The mountain tribe is intimidating. These crazed amphibians didn't invade here by mistake. If it was the mountain tribe's plan to get the amphibians to fight us until both sides get hurt or die. This means that the tribe of newcomers is not only noticed, but also considered an eyesore and want to remove. Even the mighty high has turned into a doll that can be manipulated at will. The strength of the mountain tribe cannot be underestimated. I was thinking, assessing the situation, which made me tense up in the next moment. System. A panel with my characteristics appeared in front of my face. Characteristics. Name. Chen Li. Title. No. Weapon. Pangu axe. Race. Human. Physical form 2. Strength 3. Intelligence 1. Dexterity 2. Authority 0. Technologies 27. Ownership. No. 3 points of strength is not enough. Before the real danger comes, you need to strengthen your strength. Not only me, but everyone in the novice tribe is still too weak. My reasoning was first distracted by the big man's voice. If I had noticed these bastards earlier. And after his words, a girl from the patrol came up to me and said, "He's about to have a nervous breakdown. I'm afraid I won't be able to ask anything." Then I started explaining the situation. We don't have time to wait for him to calm down. A catastrophe is likely to happen now. Suddenly the girl opened her eyes wide and asked, "Are you talking about a mountain tribe? Did they plan this attack on us? But how did they do it?" Then I picked up a cannabis leaf and tried to explain to the girl. Although it is difficult to explain it clearly, but they have leaves that control these poor fellows in cages. I do not know when the next attack will happen, and I am not sure if they will personally fight. There is too little information right now. We are in a dependent position, we need to hurry up and make him remember something. I told the girl and called the big guy to pay attention to me. Hey who? Don't blame yourself too much, it's all the poisonous fumes of this thing. No matter how strong your body is, it's all in vain. Look at this. I handed him a cannabis leaf and he even took it in his hand, after which I continued to talk. Do you have any memories related to these leaves? Suddenly, the boss slapped himself on the head and exhaled heavily. I remembered the smell. I could barely smell it when I was fighting those bastards. Among all the strange smells, I felt only sharp and unpleasant. I immediately caught on to his words and said, "Lots of strange smells? Of course, they use different types of poisonous plants. Before you figure out the functions of these poisonous herbs, you should not take the initiative." Suddenly, as soon as I got to my feet, the monster waved his hands trying to stop me and started talking loudly. "Your Majesty Chen Li. If you're going to fight these bastards, please let us join in. If I don't take revenge on them, I'll regret it for the rest of my life." After that, all the fishermen screamed as one. "We want to personally take revenge. Please, King Chen Li. All we need is revenge, we'll do anything. Revenge." They shouted, stretching their arms in my direction. Although I need more people to complete the mission, but I'm only 4 people short. Also, I was thinking, looking at everything that was happening, when suddenly I was distracted by the boss of the fishmen. Our sense of smell is very good, it can help the king identify and track the poisonous herbs. Very useful. After hearing his words, I tried to explain the situation to the monster. "That's why I'm worried. You're too sensitive to the smell of blood. If everything gets out of control, the consequences will be sad." But the fishman didn't want to listen to me, he started arguing. We would not have inhaled poisonous fumes, and we would definitely have been able to control ourselves. He spoke to me, after which I began to raise my tone to him. "But our opponent is a mountain tribe. Can you be sure that they will not release poisonous smoke?" And hearing my words, the monster calmed down a little, and the next moment he said uncertainly, "No. I understand your desire for revenge, but anger and hatred alone will not solve anything. If only. I have a way, but I'm afraid you won't like it." I tried to intrigue the monster and it worked. "These people are all that's left of my tribe. If you help us take revenge, our lives are in your hands." The monster said, sitting on his knees in front of me, and I agreed. "Okay, hey who. As long as you are ready to part ways, follow my plan and split up to complete different tasks. I guarantee that you will be able to take revenge. Of course, most of you won't have a chance to take revenge personally, do you agree?" I asked with a smile, and the monster confidently stated, "I agree." After that, the rest of the monsters from the sea tribe also screamed, "We also. Count on me. We will take revenge." The next moment I turned to the girls from the patrol and started to leave when suddenly the boss of the fishmen stopped me. King Chen Li? But without turning around at the monster's words, I just calmly and loudly said, "Ayu, Athen, let them out, now they are our comrades." After my words, notifications from the system flashed in front of my eyes. You have successfully founded a tribe of newcomers and expanded the population to 50 people. You have completed the main mission to settle down. Mission rewards. Feature points 3, large treasure chest 1, rock art 1. Since you completed the task 8 days ahead of schedule, you will be rewarded with a big gift. Great, finally completed the task. I thought, looking at my updated stats, where were they? Physical form 2. Intelligence 1. Strength 3. Dexterity 2. And also the population of the tribe increased to 68 people. Sighing heavily, I mentally said. The population has increased by 22 people at a time, should we expect more rewards for the overfulfilled part? After that, the system displayed the inscription. Please distribute the points, and I confidently stated. Increase the power. Huge energy immediately flowed around me, and I began to feel a huge surge of strength. The power is bubbling inside me. At that moment, I was ready to overthrow the mountains and kill any monster. Literally for a few seconds, the energy was overflowing, which was a ray into the sky, after which I exhaled heavily and the system notified. The power increase is complete. My strength is now 6 units, which is twice as much as it was. I even grew my hair after this. Now I am not inferior to any person in strength. And it seems that the hair has grown back? Is this a side effect? I finally noticed and started looking through my inventory. Okay, first let's see what the system has provided us with. Open the big treasure chest, I said, and immediately heard a click sound and an alert. You have received metal raw materials. 1 ton of hematite. Iron ore? I wondered. This is a very good thing. You just need to figure out how to create a high temperature environment above 1700 degrees. Does this mean that you can jump through the Bronze Age straight into the Iron Age? This is the power of knowledge. I hope there will be more valuable things in this big gift bag. Open the big gift bag. I told the system and saw a new window. You have received a healing potion, 3 pieces. Damn. Excellent. Cool system. What a surprise. The things received by the system this time are much better than any seasonings. I'm looking forward to rock art with impatience. Get rock art. I turned to the system again. And a stone monument and an inscription from the system appeared in front of me. Rock art. 1 level of inheritance, a century above the current technology. Information about inheritance. A record of products of a certain culture that can be obtained through devout worship. The level of understanding depends on a person's IQ. A cultural product? I wondered. Pay 10 technology points to determine the inheritance stereotype. I turned to the system again, and the monument shone with a bright light that I had to cover my face. The definition is completed. Congratulations on getting a sense of shame. The system announced, and I got a little angry. Feelings of shame? This is a really decisive step in the development of culture. Suddenly I realized. You don't have to worry about men and women bathing together. I don't want others to see Xiaowen taking a bath. In general, a big catch, further. It's time to think carefully about how to deal with the threat from the mountain tribe. I paid attention to the already free sea people when suddenly a girl ran up to me, shouting. King. What is it, Ayu? I turned to her and the girl stopped, taken aback. It seems that you have become taller and stronger, and your hair has grown longer. She was surprised, and I cleared my throat and answered. This is puberty. So why were you looking for me? The girl blushed a little, looking at me, but continued to say what she wanted. King, do you need me to negotiate with the mountain tribe and resolve the misunderstanding? I suddenly thought about her question. A misunderstanding? They are determined to destroy us. In addition, they are definitely the strongest opponents at the moment because they were able to set us and the sea tribe against each other in order to benefit from it for themselves. Suddenly the girl hugged my hand. What should we do then? I'm scared. They said, but I confidently looked at my people and said. The only thing we can do now is to build high walls and stock up on provisions. Don't provoke them until we're ready. You need to stay in the shadows and wait for your revenge, understand? I finally summed it up and looked at the girl who made the most stupid face. No. She declared and continued. And what should we do with those who have just joined the tribe? We will divide them into 3 groups. Some will build houses, the second will collect food, and the third will make traps. I answered her and she was even more surprised. Traps? What's it? And why make them? But I wasn't nervous because I understood who I was talking to. I still have a lot to explain, so I started. Simply put, traps can be used to protect territories. For example, to protect against an attack by a sea tribe. I don't want to go through this again. Setting different types of traps depending on the terrain allows you not only to avoid repeating mistakes, but also, with good luck, you can catch a live enemy or beast. I'll explain the manufacturing method later, and now I have an urgent errand for you. The population has increased dramatically. We need to think about long-term food supply. Half-eaten beef should not be wasted. I will teach you how to make dried meat. I told her and immediately started doing it. A few days passed, it was evening, the sun was already going to sleep at night. I watched how my people cut, or rather, chop meat with an axe, someone strung on ropes. Not bad, the newcomers quickly adapted and mastered the technique of drying meat well. I am thinking, rejoicing at our successes. Suddenly, my loyal subordinates came up to me from behind and one of them said, "King, I'm here." After that, he took a closer look at me and continued, "Hey, have you grown taller and your hair has grown longer?" To which I calmly replied, "Consider it a miracle. I have a task for you." I went straight to the point without focusing on myself. "I'll draw it." I sat down to the ground and began to drive a stick on it. "I need you to set traps in the surrounding mountains. The more inconspicuous they are, the better. I've already found you a partner. I will personally teach you everything. But the most important thing for you is not to learn how to make traps, but to remember their location." The man looked at me and got upset. "This assignment doesn't seem interesting, does it? It is impossible for someone to find out all the locations of traps in one area. Otherwise, if there is a traitor among us, the consequences will be disastrous. After the production is completed, you can inform me personally about the location of the traps. Don't draw anything, just remember, understand?" I hit him on the chest with my fist to understand his mood, but the guy was not happy at all and said uncertainly, "Don't worry. Although it is difficult, but I will prove that I deserve your trust, King." "Good," I said happily, believing in this man. "And now go, rest, come at night, we will work." The next moment I was left standing in front of a huge house with another of my subordinates. Suddenly, a monument appeared in front of us. I'm leaving it here for them to see for themselves. How many things you learn depends on your nature. I need to rest, Shigu will come at night. If there's anything urgent, wake me up. Before entering, I told the subordinate, to which he replied, "Well, I'm so tired," I said, plopping down on the bed, which was behind the throne in the first screen. Time is running out, and there are still so many things that need to be solved. The training of soldiers, the construction of fortifications, the distribution of patrols, the development of technology, the expansion of territories. There is still a lot of unfinished work, so I cherish this rare time for rest and recuperation. Suddenly I was knocked out and plunged into the realm of Morpheus. Literally a couple of seconds passed, so it seemed to me, as I heard screams. Haha. To the bottom. Oh, how good. And it was because of these words that I opened my eyes. Raising my head and paying attention to what was happening, I saw a crowd of girls. Is this a party? I thought, and a hand touched my shoulder, and then a woman's voice. What's wrong with you? Won't that do? The girl said, holding a drink in her hands. Why not? Will fit. Smiling, I said, holding a mug with a drink in my hands. And who are you? That was my next question. Chen Li. You've had too much to drink. I'm Xiaoya. This is Lily, and this is Titan. The girls introduced themselves. Then I raised the mug up and shouted. Ijiji. Drink. Drink, Titan. Like that. I'm back from time travel. Finally, I don't have to live in fear. Turn on the music and dance. I spoke, completely relaxed. Ooh. And then. I was lying in bed with a naked girl. Get up, it's time to work. She said, but I didn't want that. No, I can't do it anymore, Xiaoya. Hey. I'm not Xiaoya. Oh, Lily? No. Titan. Wrong. I'm Shigu, your majesty. What? Suddenly I woke up, shouting at the whole village. Why are you here? I burst into an angry scream. What is your majesty? You ordered me to come to you at night. I was waking you up, and you grabbed me. You're so frivolous. Shigu said, blushing a little. This is a misunderstanding, we are. Let's go. I immediately got down to business because it was really dark outside. The first trap, namely the pit with stakes, was already ready. This is the simplest trap, a pit with spears. Once again, I note that the enemies and beasts we encounter are quite large. For the trap to be effective, its depth and width must be sufficient. Then hide the trap like I did. And now the trap is complete. I explain to my people, I clearly demonstrate how a trap is made. Pits with spikes can be used together with the tripwire traps that I taught you. You need to know how to combine traps. After my conversation, the people around me flamed up. As expected from the king. You are God to me. A gun can also teach you how to make other types of traps. I looked at the guy with the wolf hat on his head. I don't know how. He answered and I continued. The moving target you used last time to practice throwing spears. Just turn it into a trap. If the tree is replaced with a net, then it will be possible to make a hanging net trap. I'll leave the rest to you, I need to do other work, come back after dawn. I told a gun and got a positive response. Don't forget what I instructed you to do. I said finally, passing by him. Don't worry, Your Majesty. He replied. I hope I can finish my sweet dream. I was already in my dreams, while a gun was giving orders to others. Arriving in the village, the sun was already coming out on the street. Usually at this time some people go to work, why is there not even a sentry today? They're not sick, are they? I suspected something and went on, through the village. Opening a random door, I heard a loud scream that almost blew me away. What are you doing here? Still, I looked inside, where the girls were. Hey. The king? Our clothes are too revealing, so we are embarrassed to go outside. One of them declared, hiding behind fur. Ah, that's it, is this the effect of a sense of shame? Clearing my throat, I closed the door and said. I give you half a day to create new clothes. If you refuse to go out after noon, don't blame me. I said and headed towards my house. Looking at the monument, I thought. I didn't expect this little thing to have such great power. Suddenly I was hailed. King. Turning around, I saw a gun running towards me and shouting. Trouble. While digging a hole, we found stones that are burning. Look King, you just need to rub 2 stones against each other, and then sparks will appear. A gun spoke and showed, after which I myself burned like fire. Is that it? Saltpeter? You've done a good job this time. I declared, picking up the stones that a gun was holding. With her, our possibilities are limitless. I said, realizing how many inventions are opening up for our village. Night. Mountains. While my men were making a trap, Shigu led me to them. We ran very fast. King. Here. He said, pointing to the same place. That stone you were talking about. We're digging it up here. He pointed with his hand to a hole in the ground, near which there was no one. Of course, their number is small, after all, because of the drought, the soil here is saline. If they haven't formed naturally. Then maybe. I thought about it and decided to ask my subordinate. Shigu, let's see, is there anything else in the ground? The man squatted down and began to look around, responding positively. After that, he took 2 stones of different colors in his hand and began to speak. This piece of land is really easy to dig, and some of the objects on it don't look like rocks. He said Shigu with an intelligent face and began to put one of these stones in his mouth. After chewing a few times, his face became sullen and with a businesslike look he declared. This is shit. I decided not to spoil the fun atmosphere and said. You guessed it. After that, he became serious and started thinking while Shigu was dying from the taste of shit. It is likely that there is a rather big manure pit. Did another group of primitive people once live here, besides their civilization, has reached the concept of such a thing as a toilet? Is it possible that this is an old nest of a mountain tribe? After I thought it over, and Shigu was burping, I immediately gave him a command. Collect saltpeter and bury everything here. Leave as few footprints as possible. He answered positively, but it was obvious that he did it with difficulty. Place more traps in the vicinity, also build signal towers, and send people to the garrison in turn. Suddenly Shigu became inflamed and began to scream. Haha. What kind of tower? A tower with a signal light? Signal what? I decided not to answer his questions and just leave. 4 days later. The day was already drawing to a close. I was walking through the village with my subordinate and talking. Not bad, not bad. Everyone has a home. The first step on the path to happiness. At my words, the man next to me decided to ask. King, what do you mean? Everything is very simple. If the people are provided with food, clothing, housing, then the foundation of the tribe will be firmly established. The next step is this. But before I could finish, a huge woman interrupted my words, shouting. King. You've come. Noticing her, I immediately said, "Damn. Where is King Kong?" Then he turned around and began to run away, giving a command to his subordinate. "Liu Tang. Detain her." But the man didn't have time to do anything, as the girl already hugged me, and all I had to do was say plaintively, "Save me." By inertia from her jump, we flew into the nearest house, destroying it. The sound of the explosion could be heard even in space, it seemed to me. Liu Tang immediately began to worry about my health. "Damn. Your Majesty. Are you okay?" I was lying unconscious while a huge woman hugged me, flying in her dreams. Liu Tang said in a stern tone while looking at us, "Get up from it. Otherwise you'll kill him." Hearing his words, the girl got to her feet, holding me in her arms and applying double force, began to bring me to my senses, saying, "King. Our houses have just been built, you can't die." She cried while my mouth was bleeding from her embrace. The next moment I was fine and standing on my feet, as well as wiping blood from my mouth. I was talking. "Okay, don't make any noise. You say the houses were rebuilt?" After that, the girl began to report. "Yes. 2 rows of wooden houses, 10 of them, about 5 or 10 people, will be able to accommodate there." Watching how the people around me work, I began to praise her. Progress meets expectations. In that case, in 2 days, everyone will be able to move into the houses. Well done, keep up the good work. See you in 2 days. I stroked the girl on the head and it seemed to me, or did she really start to purr? "But the next time you see me, don't be so rash. And fix this house," I declared, leaving this place, leaving the girl behind. After leaving a little, I said the following plans. Next will be the work on the supply of food and stock. When suddenly I was interrupted by my subordinate, who was looking at my waist, which looked, to put it mildly, unnatural after the girl's embrace. "King. Are you feeling unwell?" I didn't understand why he asked this and replied that everything was fine. The next moment we were already at the shore near the river and watched how the fishermen were catching fish and the girls were hanging it up for drying. I caught a big fish. The boss of the sea tribe declared while his people were praising the monster. The children ran around, rejoicing at the fish, and one of the girls tried to calm them down. Looking at such an environment, I was glad, it became so calm in my soul. Compared to digging traps and building houses, fishing suits them more. I declared, looking at the work of the sea tribe. Thanks to them, the food supplies in the tribe have increased significantly. Liu Tang decided to insert his word. "It's all thanks to you, King. After all, it is you who lead us to a life of abundance. And don't worry about being destroyed." Without moving, I just asked, "Liu Tang, are you going to blame me for using these methods to subdue the Sea tribe and the Coconut Grove tribe? There will be even more in the future." But the guy just grinned and answered with a smile. "You should not have such doubts, your order is our will. Moreover, I don't see a problem here. In this world, the strongest survives. Large and small tribes destroy each other every day. You get the maximum result with the least losses, that's why you show your generosity to us and to them." I was glad to hear that, I felt good. After standing for a while and getting some fresh air, I declared, "Liu Tang, you already have all the most valuable qualities. Come on, we need to check border security. I believe that the people from the Sea tribe will give us many more surprises." The elusive squad of divers. While the day was inexorably coming to an end, we were already at the foot of the mountain and watched Shigu and the others go somewhere with spears. "Shigu, don't leave yet, I want to ask you something." The man turned around and exclaimed, "Oh King. How are things going with the installation of traps and signal towers?" I immediately got down to business and started listening to the answer. "By your order, signal towers were rebuilt in 3 directions. South, west and north, only." Shigu stumbled and fell silent. "Only?" I asked. After we appointed 6 people to guard the towers in shifts, there was very little manpower left. In order to finish the work on time, we had to start earlier and climb the mountains before nightfall. The man explained, and I sighed heavily, summing up. "Hey, there are not enough workers again. Today, Liu Tang and I will climb the mountains with you to help," I said confidently, but Shigu stopped me. No, we'll manage on our own." But I started to convince him. Now is a special period when every second counts, there is no time for reflection. I told him and began to reason in my head. If a mountain tribe has ever lived nearby, then they are much more familiar with this area than I am. In case they take advantage of our unpreparedness and launch another sudden large-scale attack. I stumbled in my thoughts and exclaimed, "There is no time. Quickly show the way." It was already night outside, and we were all making traps together. There were various conversations around. You need to be careful here. Carefully. I don't have enough copies. I got to my feet and breathed a sigh of relief looking into the distance where the signal tower on the North Mountain was located. I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling. I thought and continued to make a trap, continuing to reason. Maybe it's just my imagination running wild. When suddenly I heard a loud heart-rending scream and got scared. This cry comes from the south. I immediately tried to identify it and turned around. There was smoke in the distance. Signal from the tower. I exclaimed loudly. The southern signal tower has been attacked. Gather everyone.